actually making something that no one else is making. No one else will make it.
I cannot wait to see this. What is this, man? This thing's huge.
You know, it's a 1996 International 4700.
You want to fix up a dump truck?
Huh? This truck is the biggest and heaviest that we've done to date.
Everything on this thing was just pie cut and welded together.
This is way above par.
That's mine? Wow!
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is
As you can see, we're really busy around here. The parking lot's always full. You know, each time, starts and finishes really quick. Sometimes, a vehicle comes in and gets put on pause. Life happens, right? So you just want to finish that thing. You want to get it out the door, but, sometimes it doesn't happen like that. It eats at me for sure. Everybody sees it. Why is that there? What's going on with that? Eventually that thing will come back around. You get it going again. You finally get that thing finished. It's a definite sense of accomplishment. Me and Sean go way back since high school. We did a body drop back in '95 on his Chevy S10. Sean's been waiting to do another build for a while, and I think I finally have the right project for him.
This it? All right.
The owner is just way too overwhelmed with this truck, so it's a perfect opportunity for Sean to buy it and take it over.
And I've always liked the unibody, ever since I've seen the one y'all built years ago.
Yeah, they're super rare. This is something, you see these body styles a lot, but nothing like that. It's unique. Most of this truck is a 1968 Chevy C10, but with a little twist. It's a 68 Chevy Caddy. We built a whole new frame, front to back, that's already built. There's new doors, new fenders. There's a late model 5.3 in it, 24 by 10s, 24 15s in the back with a 9-inch in it that's already been narrowed. The old dash has been cut out and a 56 Chevy dash put in it. This thing is a perfect start for you because you can put your own personal touch on it, with the right colors, right wheels, tires, and getting this thing running. It'd be a cool project.
I like the fact that there's a lot of stuff started on it, but I'm going to be able to finish it my way, the way I want to do it.
I know how you like to color match.
Well, you got to keep my shirt and shoes matching, keep it fresh.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So we can bring a little bit of color inside the interior, match the chassis color, and have a little contrast with the body color.
Yeah, I like that.
I see Sean liking this thing. Hopefully he can see, past all the work that had to be done and just see the vision for this project. On the back of this thing, I think something that would be really cool to really set this thing apart even more would be building an aluminum bed cover on this. It just continues that smoothness all the way down from the front bumper all the way to the back.
Keep it real clean.
Exactly.
First time I saw Bill was first day of my freshman year of high school. He pulled up in his long bed, lowered, square body Chevy truck. And I was like, man, I don't know who that is, but we got to get in with him. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Everybody that has a car shop, automotive repair shop, custom shop, there's always a project or two that's sitting around back that just doesn't quite get finished. This one's no different. Project like this, they snowball into dreaming big. And when you dream big, sometimes your pocketbook can't hang with the dreams. You come in for one thing, next thing you know, you're building a chassis for it, changing the motor, and totally stripping it down to where you're at. This is a prime example for that. Digging it out of the back and getting going on it, man. I've got high hopes for it.
So the rumor's true?
You got it, man. My boy Sean's taking it over.
Wow.
Yeah, we're going to dig this thing out and get this thing going and finish it up. New owner, new plan. You know, a normal C10 truck has the body and then the bed totally separated. You know, we made this thing a unibody. We welded bed sides right to the cab, a custom tailgate skin, smooth bed floor, a 56 Chevy dash, and a 68 front end. You know, we got a work to be done. I mean, just from the front of this thing, you know, getting the grill, all the sheet metal back on this thing and seeing what we have, what we still need to get. New glass all the way around, flush mount, you know, something that looks really nice. So you already know Sean's style. You know, every time he comes in, he's got to have the shirt and shoes matching, you know.
So we're going to paint it yellow wheels with green trim on it. They're typically his favorite colors.
You know, Sean's got to coordinate, so interior is going to match the engine, chassis, you know, make everything color coordinate, which leads to the bed, which me and you, buddy, are going to build a bed cover for this thing out of aluminum, you know, flush with the top of the bed, something that just makes this thing slick all the way from the front to the back.
I mean, it's crazy to think you unibodied this thing 7 years ago.
It's been a minute.
7-year build.
This thing has a ton of work and a ton of memories in it. You know, we got a huge head start. We still have a lot of challenges in front of us for sure. Me and you start doing the bed cover in the back.
I want to see where we get the head start from.
The custom bed cover we're making is going to sit flush with the top of the bed, but it's also going to open and close. So I had Jesse make some cool custom hinges.
Did all right.
He did good, man. I know this thing's a pain in the butt to make, man. It takes forever. Rudy, the first thing we need to do is make a brace from side to side that holds the hinges. All we have to do is weld it in place and start building our bed cover.
All right, so the first thing I got to do is cut down my 1.5 square tubing to fit inside the bed. Then we'll go ahead and start making our modifications inside of the square tubing so we can fit our new bed cover hinges. Got my tabs tacked in. Looks like it's going to be right where we need it. Our hinge is giving us enough lift and enough articulation, so this thing is ready to go.
Man, this is exactly what we needed, Rudy. This metal work that's already was here is a little inconsistent. That'll create a lot of body work later, so why don't we just cap it with the piece of sheet metal to go from this edge all the way over and then down and have a little lip out here. Then it'll be laser straight all the way around this thing. Then we'll have a nice bed for the bed cover to sit right onto. So we'll just cut this sucker here. This is going to make for a lot faster installation, and you know, there's little ways to make things easier. You learn as you go. You know, all the little tricks of the trade. One thing we learned is not just tacking, looking down it, stepping back and maneuvering. Use a straight edge. So we're clamping a straight edge. We know it's straight both ways. This way and that way. There's no second guess. There's no wondering if it's right. You know exactly. You can just tack down it, keep rolling, go to the next step. And this is just one little trick of the trade.
So before we slap our aluminum sheet metal on top, we need to build a frame for this thing. We don't want the sheet metal going all wonky on us when we're opening it up. So that's why we place these ribs across so we can use it to simulate the bottom of the sheet metal. So all I have to do is just mark it, take the hinge off, trim it, come back and put it on, and get my actual frame piece, and tack them up, and then we'll move on from there. Got my hinges marked up, so all we're going to do now is take them off, go ahead and trim them up. I left enough room on the bottom and backside of the hinge so we get enough weld on there to give us enough strength to hold this bed cover. Alright, we'll get our top rib here to simulate our aluminum sheet metal. Push the hinges all the way up, make full contact with them.
That's good, Rudy. Very, very good. This is the most critical stage of making everything right. That way the gaps stay perfect, everything stays the same all the way around, and you don't damage paint when it goes up and down 20 times. So it should be closed, and we'll open that sucker up. Works good. I mean, just to this point is a ton of work that nobody's ever gonna know, but if this isn't right, that affects everything else. So now the rest is just work. You know, just like any part of a project, you got to have a plan. And our plan on this is building from the inside out. So we need to build all the framework first, make sure all the kinks are worked out before we put the final little skin on the top of it. We finished welding out the bed cover frame on the C10 unibody. You know, to make sure this thing has plenty of room to close, we're going to shave off the top of the wheel tubs.
All right, so now we got our bed cover mocked up. Everything fits nice and good. The only issue we're seeing is there isn't that much clearance between the bed cover and the wheel well. So what we're going to do here, fill it back in nice and flat, and that's going to give us plenty of clearance between the wheel well and the bed cover. I got my lines drawn out of how much I want to cut off. I'm anticipating that this 4-inch cut off the top of this round wheel well, probably going to take it down about a 1/4 inch. Next step is make my nice flat pieces out of 16 gauge sheet metal. I'm just trying to straighten out my panels here because obviously we went from a curved edge to what's now going to be a straight edge. So I just want to make sure and get my sheet metal nice and flat, so whenever I put my flat piece in, we get a good, nice transition from curved to flat. So as I'm tacking my filler piece in, I'm using these super strong magnets. This helps me make a nice flat top as I'm applying pressure to my filler piece to my round fender well. All I have to do is fully weld it all out, grind it smooth, and this baby's all done. Let's see how much clearance we got. So this would be the bottom of our aluminum. Looks all good. So now, I'm gonna go ahead and throw the frame on there, skin it with the aluminum.
When you've been building custom trucks as long as I have, you kind of get in the habit of saying this is going to be a big build. There are big builds and there's just huge builds. And yeah, there's a difference. Today I'm out here at Ocean Corp to see my boy John Wood. What's happening, John?
Oh, hey, Bill, how are you?
You know, John runs a training school for underwater welders and commercial divers.
Hey, man, how you doing?
What's happening, man? Yeah.
Good to see you, man.
What is this, man? This thing's huge. Where'd you get this thing at?
I bought it from Florida Highway Department. It was an asphalt truck.
You want to fix up a dump truck?
Huh?
Man. You know, it's a 1996 International 4700. You know, that's usually used for hauling, commercial applications, or even as a dump truck. You know, I can say for sure we never customize one of these. For starters, I don't even think we have a lift big enough for this.
I just liked the look of it. I thought this is kind of like the world's first jumbo pickup truck.
We got an old highway department dump truck that you want to make cool.
Yes, sir. That's it. Something
Yeah, that's
cool.
all?
Yeah, that's it. That's no lift for you. You can do anything. I got the inspiration. I wanted a big, kind of funny monster military high water vehicle, and I liked the shape of the crew cab on this truck.
What are you going to use this thing for?
Marketing for the company. I want to be able to skid mount diving stuff or NDT stuff. Somebody can do with a little creativity with a fun truck, and it'll be a toy too. I mean, you can't minimize the toy value.
Right, right. Man, let's check out the back of this thing.
Check this thing out.
Yeah, this got to go.
Yeah,
Just take this whole dump bed off and just start fresh.
right?
Shorten the wheelbase, put some air suspension on it, make you a nice new bed, something you can take on and off, you know, easily.
Can't forget the cool factor. It's got to be cool.
Well, for sure.
I'd like the dump truck to attract attention. I want it to be cool above all. It's got to be flashy and fun and interesting and different. It's got to be different.
What's in the inside of this thing?
Oh, that's a different story.
Man, there's a whole lot of ugly and yellow.
Yeah.
Man, John, once you pull up in this thing, it's going to draw a crowd immediately. When you open the door on this,
No, I
you
get it.
can't have this.
Can't have that.
We got to start off by, you know, covering these seats, putting some carpet in this thing, make it look a lot better. I mean, something you can show off. What's under the hood?
Big diesel. What more do you want?
Shoot, how many miles on this thing?
120,000. So that's not
Ain't
bad
even
at all.
broke in yet.
No.
This is a turbocharged 444E. It's a million miles. Maybe get rid of the water hose and the electrical tape.
I kind of like that electric tape hanger. That's kind of nice, yeah.
Let's look at the front of this thing.
I tell you, you're not digging on my school bus yellow.
Man, we got to get rid of this.
No bueno.
No. You thinking of any colors or anything you want to see on this?
Whatever you think is going to pop and be interesting and fun and exciting.
So you're trusting me on this one?
Pretty much.
I'll come up with something cool for sure, man. For sure. Man, this is going to be a fun little project, man. The only thing is, this thing isn't going to fit on my record.
No.
I guess I'll see you at the shop, huh?
You want me to sneak it over there?
Extensive has worked on a ton of vehicles over the years, like Kodiaks, F650s, you know, a lot of big vehicles, but this truck is the biggest and heaviest that we've done to date. Dealing with the size and weight of this vehicle adds to the challenge of the whole overall build. One of the first things you do before you even get started tearing anything apart is just taking into consideration the jacks you have to use, the jack stands, the impacts that you use on a vehicle this heavy. Not to mention, you know, picking the right suspension, building a 4-link heavy enough, the lift high enough and sturdy enough to hold. I think I'm absolutely crazy. They already do anyway. This is probably going to prove it.
What in the world we got here now?
Ain't no telling.
We gotta climb up this thing?
Why do we have a dump truck?
This old Mr. Wood's new project, you know, unique guy. Want something unique?
True John Wood fashion. He's always had some crazy idea of what he wanted.
Well, that's the problem. We got a dump truck, but he doesn't want a dump truck. Oh, Mr. Wood wants something just to go anywhere, do anything, all-purpose, militaristic, cool-looking truck. You know, first thing we'll do is dump the dump bed. It's got an extra long wheelbase. We're going to shorten the wheelbase, bring it down to a 60-inch cabbed axle, and put a stake bed on it. We definitely got to upgrade the suspension on this thing, give it a nice look. Just get the stance right with the militaristic wheels and tires, you know, helper bags on the back so he can still haul whatever he wants to haul. Get the mechanics right underneath the hood. Somebody had some creative fixes underneath the hood, you know, make sure all that's right and do something with the interior. There's a whole lot of ugly inside this thing right here.
That reminds me of my old high school bus.
I bet it smells like your high school bus too.
I've been trying to forget that smell for years.
Let's get this thing in front of the shop. Let's get it all tore down. Just get this thing as lighted. As is, the International weighs well north of 10,000 pounds, which is past the top capacity of our lift. So I'm going to have little one cut off the bed and boxes, and hopefully it'll get us right under.
We're about to cut off this dump truck bed with a torch. It's too much thick plates, too many old bolts. It's better to just get rid of it with some nice fire. It's a good thing we got forklifts so we can get the bed up and we can see exactly what we gotta cut. Yeah, I gotta get that pin out to release the hydraulic cylinder and get this damn bed off. Free at last.
You know, when we pull the bed off most trucks, we can just manually lift it. But we got to get creative to lift this bed and just lift it safely.
Took 2 forklifts, a little bit of fire, and some help. But we got the dump bed off. Now it's time to get these boxes off. I like to live life on the edge. Stripped away from the truck. Now we gotta see what this thing weighs.
You know, this lift is rated for a maximum 10,000 pounds. So we're gonna take the extra precaution of have this thing weighed so we know exactly what we're working with before we even put it on the lift. And if it's still too heavy, we're gonna have to go back to the cutting board. Anytime you take on a model vehicle that you've never worked with before, especially the size of this International dump truck, is going to create all new challenges for us. What that means in reality, we got to do a lot of setup work before we even start to build.
Got some bad news.
10,020.
Yeah, we're 20 over.
But you weighed it with you in there, right?
Right.
So you weigh about 120, something like that. So
I
we're
guess so.
100 pounds under.
We're good to go then.
You know, our lift's rated for 10,000 pounds. We got 9,920 pound truck. So we're about to put it to the test and see if it's really rated for what that sticker says right now. 15 inches. 15. You know, pushing and pulling on it, its weight can shift, especially with something this size. It can get really dangerous really quick. So we're welding 15-inch extensions from the frame directly to the lip, so this thing won't move anywhere.
I need a favor, amigo. Oh, I need it welded like that.
You know, with a build this big, you have to build parts to be able to build the parts to be able to build it big.
Vayas con Dios.
So just like life, everything has to be in balance. The ideal spot for the extensions to go is where the lift is centered to the cab, so the weight of the engine doesn't rock forward and the weight of the rear doesn't rock back. Alright, moment of truth finally. We're gonna get this thing in the air. It's 10,000 pounds, 10,000 pound lift. We should be good. I'm gonna double check the front. I'm a little nervous. I gotta make sure that everything's good before I go up in the air and 10,000 pounds over me. I'll get crushed like a little L1 pancake. That's good. I'll wear it comfortable right there. There's a lot of weight up here. Everything we do from here on out has to be very particular so that we make sure we don't go too much overweight or overweight at all. It's hard. One tiny mistake and we're gonna have a huge problem.
We made the bed cover hinges, frame, and skin for the 68 unibody. Now Rudy and I can install the struts. Think that's gonna work, man? Cool, it ought to get plenty of height. I know they're gonna be strong enough.
Oh, yeah.
You look like you're skiing right there.
All right, guys.
All right. All right, man. Thank you, man. Good work, Jesse. It's good, man. Thank you.
All right, man. See you guys' hands now.
Let's see if them shocks work. Man, looks good, man. There's plenty of room. Backpack, cooler.
Tote full of shoes. He'll be happy about that.
Yeah, his whole lineup of shoes. That'll work good, man. Well, you know, last thing, getting the skin on. Once the skin's on, that's it. You know, the old truck's been sitting around the shop for a couple of years. You know, it's really good to get it back out, get it going again, get this thing finished up. I mean, it's going to be a really cool truck once it's all done. For support off and start screwing the metal down. There's nothing to hold the frame perfectly flat. So we're just putting a couple of little spacers in here. So then when we put our sheet on it, we can put pressure drilling down. And it's not going to push our frame down, leave it sagging down like that.
Man, for once, it's starting to look like a complete truck, huh?
Yeah, looking good, man. We pre-marked where the bottom framework is, so we're just marking so we know where the center of the frame is on the sheet. So we're going to pre-drill the sheet, run tech screws in it so everything fits nice and tight. And then we can pull the whole thing off, and then we can get Jesse to TIG it to the framework so it's one complete bed cover then. This thing will be ready for body work. You know, Chevy never made a C10 truck with a cab welded to the bed. You know, it took a lot of work getting here. But to make all those lines look right, it's going to take a lot of body work. And with everything we got going on at the shop, we're going to need some help. We're going to need some help bad. Man, what's up, dog? Good to see you. You know, it's not every day you can just pick up the phone and call one of the best body and paint guys around. And him just get in his truck and trailer is a true friend. Man, you saved me once again, man.
Hey, man.
I know Tennessee isn't right around the corner.
Man, it was right down the street, you know what I mean? 12 hours around the corner, but we got it. You know what I mean? What y'all do with this one this time?
I just want to start totally fresh with this thing.
Bare metal up.
Blast it, spray it, make the gaps right, make this thing look good, make us look good.
You got it, man. That's what we do.
Thank you. You know, Zane's going to give this truck a lot of attention at his shop and then bring it right back to us.
This is a tremendous amount of work. This thing's been here since I first started hanging out. And it's just sat outside and been neglected for all these years. You know, I mean, it's super cool to see it finally getting, you know, the love that it deserves. I'm just going to hammer down, drive through the night, and get back home so we can get going on this thing first thing Monday morning.
C10 unibody is getting bodyworked by Zane, John's going to create a seamless look on the inside of the cab with a handmade speaker box.
With it being a unibody truck, we're going to take the subwoofer box and actually build it into the truck and mold it in so there's no seams or anything. It'll all be part of the truck and we'll wrap it all as one piece. We'll do some router work. We're going to make some trim rings, some base plates, stack this thing up, give it some depth, some contour, work it in so it's not just a mud work. The important thing here is to lay it as smooth as you possibly can so you don't have to sand as much. It's probably one of my least favorite things to do, but one of the things that I have to do the most. What we'll do now is we'll just take that, let that round dry, and then we'll finish out the other side and it should come out pretty easy.
We put a lot of different truck components together to make this C10 unibody. So all the bodywork has to be on point to make this thing perfect. Our guys in Dunlap, Tennessee are doing just that.
Pretty big day at the shop. Tons of bodywork going into this thing. We had the truck all blasted down to bare metal. The guys built the bed cover from scratch. Very nice stuff. So what we're going to do now is just perfect what they had already started. So what we're doing now is taping off the jamb to get the bed cover to meet the bed sides. It's a little low in a couple of spots that a little light filler will take care of. Don't be afraid to use tape. Using tape doesn't make you not cool. It makes you smart because you're not having to create more work for yourself and taking all this Bondo out of these jambs that are already straight. It's not broke, so don't fix it. Wiping a panel this big, you've got to do it in sections just so you can concentrate on over here instead of all of this all at once. So we're going to move into, when you look across the top of it, it just looks like it just came that way. We round all of our edges off. Paint won't stick to a hard, sharp edge. So come in and make sure we keep those round. We got pretty much the majority of the bed cover bodywork, so we're going to use this little gap checker here. This is going to tell us how big the gap is and make sure that it's straight all the way down. We've got a 4 all the way down, so this tells us that the bed cover is evenly gapped all the way down the bedside. This beats eyeball, and this takes all the guessing game out of it. Spend you a couple bucks, get you one of these to make sure that your gaps are perfect. So now what we're going to do is get it off of the truck, do a little bit of final sand in there, pick it apart, make sure we didn't miss nothing, and get this thing in primer.
Because this frame on the International dump truck is so long, we can't even close the bay door. It just sticks out. So for now, Little One's going to relocate the axle and make a rough cut to the frame. We'll finalize the length of the frame, then we'll cap it.
Because we got to move the rear axle forward, we got to take apart the whole leaf springs, back half of the drive shaft, all these hydraulic hoses, wiring. Once it's all done, we'll be able to close the door and get our shoulder wheel. We're going to slide the whole assembly together. That's better. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You got a big truck, short wheelbase. That's cool as hell.
Yo!
What's happening, man? You doing good?
Man, I'm doing good. How's things down there?
Couldn't be better.
Hey, it's color time.
You got it. Sean wants his C10 unibody to be painted white. A white truck is difficult to really stand out from a crowd. So I asked Zane to come up with something really special for this white and put a little something extra in the mix.
I'm gonna go to work.
Thank you.
Days like today, we're really excited to get to do something different. There's so many colors out there that it's hard to stand out and be different. It's something else, man. It's gonna blow them away.
This is Lumicode. What it does is it just crushed mirrors. It reflects the light in low light conditions so you can see it more clearly.
So when the light hits this at nighttime, it's just gonna glow like the emergency stickers and stuff.
Like a street light. In the daylight, they'll knock your eyes out.
At nighttime, this will knock your eyes out.
It will.
This is pretty nasty, you know what I mean?
It's pretty cool.
I'm freaking pumped, man. Let's get this thing painted. Yeah, I've been doing this a long time, so it's like fun to be impressed by something. Nothing wows us anymore. It's usually the same stuff, different day. I cannot wait to see this.
It's been a little over over a month since Zane started working on the C10. And today's the day he's bringing it back. And I get to see this thing in person.
What it do?
What's happening? I really appreciate you taking this on, man.
You know, I love my away games at your place, but we got to do this one at home, and I think we knocked it out of the park.
Man, I'm ready to check this thing out.
Let's open it up.
Man. Woo! Turn right a little bit. Turn left a little bit. There you go.
What you think about it?
Man, this thing looks better than good. Looks like it's been dipped.
This is the brightest white that we could have possibly put on it with little crushed mirror flakes in it. I mean, this thing just dances in the sunlight.
Sean can't not like this thing.
And if Sean don't like it, call me. I'll be the first one to buy it.
All right, I know you're ready to get back.
I'm out of here.
We got a lot to do to it now, too. It's been a few years since we built the custom chassis and suspension for this truck. We're going to pull it all apart and powder coat it a dark red to contrast this white. Everything still looks good. A couple little things we'll change up and freshen up and make it just like brand new, but this thing's gonna start coming together here real soon. While the frame's at the powder coat, he's working on some custom kick panels.
You know, there's a lot of different ways we can go with these kick panels, but the main thing is that we make sure the design kind of flows with the rest of the truck. We have the carpet that's going to be on the bottom of our doors, so we want to continue that into here, and then make a cool little shape that's going to kind of match the rest of the vehicle that's going to hold our speakers. Now we rough cut that, set up the router, and go to town. Puzzle, man. So we kind of set it up. We got our base, we got our baffle for our speakers, and we got our trim ring that goes up here. The speaker's actually going to mount from the rear in there just like that. So we can build this whole thing on the table. We'll fill in this back area right around. Slightly score this on the back side, allow it to bend without. All right, we got it all wrapped around with our panel board here. Now all we got to do is get it all mudded up, wrap it, and we're done with these kicks. Since I'm actually going to take this box and mold it in and make it part of the truck, what we're going to do is take this, make it solid one piece, get this screwed into place, and then we'll come in with some panel board and start molding this thing in. We're going to actually wrap the whole back of the truck with the box and all at one time, so there's no seam, just kind of follow along with the idea of the unibody. So now we'll just start making pieces to get the sides filled in. So what I'll do is I'll use some chipboard. There'll be no separation from the body to the box all the way around to the back of this truck, so that'll look pretty cool. When I look at a space that I'm trying to design out and figure out what's going on with it, just kind of keep in mind the body lines, the style cues, and things like that from the vehicle, and just kind of incorporate that into what you're building, and just let it kind of flow through and just create something, because you're actually making something that no one else is making. No one else will make it. It's one of a kind. You're just putting your own spin and your own thoughts to these things, so there's really no wrong way to go about it as long as you get to the final product that you're after.
The frame and suspension are back from powder coat on the C10 unibody. Man, this thing looks even better than I thought it would. You know, with an all-white truck, it's really, really important to pick an accent color that's really going to stand out. We definitely achieved that. I mean, this is way above par. I mean, this red is actually a couple of colors in one. It's got a chrome base over a transparent red, and it really, really, really looks good.
We hand-built this frame years ago. Now, to get all the components on the chassis and watch it go up and down with the motor on it, something I didn't think I was going to see. This was just a stock piece of 2x3, 2x4. Everything on this thing was just pie cut and welded together, and it just gives you a great pride knowing that it's rolling down the road 80, 90 miles an hour, carrying somebody's family next to you, and it's just rolled real good. Now we have the mock-up wheels on. We have a complete rolling chassis.
What do you think, buddy?
Does it look good?
After so many years years of waiting, I can't tell you how satisfying it is to see this truck finally come together. Mount glass, custom wheels and tires, and finally it's time to give this thing a new home.
I was 22 when I first started welding. I had a friend call me. He said, "Hey man, you want to come weld?" And from there, I began MIG welding carbon steel, then moved up from there to MIG welding aluminum, then from MIG welding aluminum to TIG welding aluminum, just worked my way up. I grew up here in Houston, just right down here from the shop, about 5 minutes away. As a kid, growing up, hearing about Bill, I always heard he was the best man at bagging trucks. I mean, I used to come with my friends, check out the shop, or come out by all the time. Then years passed, and never in my life did I think I would ever be here working for Bill. One of my favorite builds ever done here at the shop was Marco's red Z01 Camaro, because it was aluminum chassis, and man, I got to take the whole thing out. It took me hours, but it was done right. When I see like a build that I worked on the road, I always tell my wife, "Hey, look, I welded that part on it, I welded this on it, I welded the gas tank on it." It never gets old, man. I love it. I just love welding.
Man, that place always hits the spot, man. I'm so full, I don't even want to go back to work. I don't know what you're about to do.
I'll get back there eventually.
It's always good to finish a project up, especially when one's been lingering around the shop for so long. And what really tops it off is finishing the build for a good friend of yours.
You gotta get over here and work on some of this stuff you got sitting around the parking lot.
Right? We gotta get this parking lot cleared out. That's always a struggle.
For 30 years, I've been going over here to the parking lot and never been cleared out.
Right? I got some work I want you to check out real quick. I want your opinion on something.
You want me to give you my opinion?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see what you got. Oh.
I want you to check this out.
All right. Well, let me see what you got. That's mine? Oh, wow.
Been a minute, huh?
Been a while. Man, this is awesome.
Last time you seen this truck, it was just basically a rolling chassis and a body on it.
Yeah.
It's 100% now.
Well, unibody, that was the whole reason I liked the truck. I knew that this is what it would turn out like.
With the cab and bed welded together, that really makes this truck look super smooth. It just adds to the whole custom look of this thing. People just going to look at it and go, "Man, that's a cool looking truck." It took to make that.
Oh, yeah, they'll know. And it's something different that you just don't see out there.
From where it was to what it is now, man, it's night and day. From the roll pan, to the 68 front end, to the nice smooth hood, no wipers, no cowl vents. That's all been shaved. To the front glass, all flush, man. Carmen hooked us up with the A&N hot rod glass, makes us a nice windshield, nice back glass with no rubber. So it makes this whole thing look modern. And then down to the bed cover me and Rudy built for you. It's just something you don't see on these trucks, and it just finishes the whole thing off and just makes the unibody part look super smooth.
I mean, the way this thing sits on the ground, that's phenomenal.
That just doesn't happen with the air suspension. It has to be a chassis specially made, to make a vehicle go this low. Added these brand new wheels and tires, 24x8s in the front, 24x14s in the rear, with huge brakes on this thing.
Man, the chrome polished 24-inch wheels, the way it sets off the truck, man, it all goes together so good.
And white, white is super hard to pull off. My boy Zane stepped in. He told me if I ever need anything, give him a call. That's exactly what I did. And you see, Zane got down on it.
Did an awesome job.
Right? It's not only just white, but it's got metallic and a pearl in this, so it really stands out.
You can actually see the metallic in the light. See the shine on it.
Check this out.
Oh, yeah. That's nice.
Right?
I like that.
Once we got it back from Zane, blew everything apart and just started by powder coating all the suspension, all the frame, all the components to go with that. It's a chrome powder coat with transparent red over it, so it really gives it that anodized look. Yeah. And when the sun hits it, man, it just kind of blinds you.
This thing's definitely a show truck now.
And it's a late model 5.3 LT, so it's got plenty of power in here too. Man, let's check out the interior on this thing.
That's nice.
Right?
Man, so clean.
John and Heath really got down on this from top top to bottom, from the new headliner to the carpet, you know, the custom-made door panels. There's subs in the back, you know, the kick panels. This thing gets down to, you know, the seats, the console, the all-metal 56 Chevy dash. It's got the Dakota digital gauges. So when you start this thing, everything lights up. It looks like a brand new late model car.
It don't even look like a dash. It looks like a spaceship. Well, the guys did an awesome job. They did great.
You know, Sean, just another example of my team coming together, creating something.
The first vehicle you built for me, and it won't be the last. Man, thank you.
After years of just being passed around, moved from bay to bay to bay, stuff piled on it, finally unpiling everything off the top, getting back to work and finally finishing this thing up, it really feels good. Need your help again, buddy? We need some hangers for the International over there, so I need something, you know, pretty beefy. One of the things we're learning on this 1996 International is how many extra steps it takes to even start working on a truck this size. This would be the whole mounting point for the whole rear suspension. Once this is made, we get it bolted on, everything will come off of that. It's heavy enough, huh?
All boxed in, all the way around.
5/16 plate, this is plenty of strong. This heavy of a truck, you know, it gets stuck in the mud, a little bit of wheel hop, these things aren't gonna go anywhere. See if this bolts up. Man, them things look good. That is exactly what we need to hold all this weight. You know, this is what makes me excited. Taking on the unknown and flexing our creative muscles. To do something.
A little bit of powder coat on these things, we'll be right.
You know, we got the hangers done. Let's get the tabs on the rear end. And then we can start building a 4-link. We'll build bag mounts, shock mounts. Then we're little step.
So how much more money do I owe you?
This little puny bumper. And I ain't gonna cut it. This thing's finally starting to look like something.
1934 Buick.
It looks perfect.
I'll tell her we're cutting this up.
We'll take this original engine out, put a late model Chevy in it.
We're gonna piss some people off.
We're gonna show it the respect it deserves.
Get some shocks in here.
He wants this thing to be able to drop on the ground also.
Holy shit, that's beautiful. And it's not yellow.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
That's them, huh?
That's it, man.
8-inch springs.
Yes, sir.
That's what we need. It's perfect. It's going to put this thing in the perfect ride height. Let's go ahead and get these things underneath here. Get little one. Let's knock this thing out. Let's get it bolted up. Everything is extra large on this 1996 International dump truck. It's one of the biggest builds we've ever done size-wise.
All right, let's go.
We have these leaf springs arched an extra 8 inches. You know, it's not every day we get to convert a huge old work truck into a show-quality, flatbed, militaristic truck. But man, when we're done, there's not going to be another one like it.
That was kind of difficult.
That was a little difficult. You ready for the next one?
Hey, yeah, let's do it real quick. I know that look.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to do to the dump truck. A lot. I mean, rear suspension, parallel 4-link with the big, huge triple convoluted bags.
You're doing the whole rear end, hangers, 4-link, bag mount, shock mount. It'll take twice as long to do the back of that truck.
Twice as long to do everything on the truck. Build the bumper, paint the thing, the whole interior.
Wasn't the engine really messed up?
Yes, that reminds me too. I put a call in with the one-way diesel guys. They're coming down, and they're going to tidy up the engine compartment and get this thing running good. At least we're getting a custom-made bed for it. It's going to be really cool. Front suspension's done, but, you know, everything's taking so much longer. Everything's bigger, heavier than we're normally working with.
I have a feeling you're fixing to tell me like you need it tomorrow or something.
We got a little time on it, but it's getting way, way behind for sure. Ready to go get after it?
Well, let's go.
Let's go do it, man. We already tore the bed off, made and installed the hangers. Now we can get going on the rear suspension. We got a super huge truck, so we need some super huge bag mount. You know, we usually use 3/16 D plates for the bag mounts, but on this one, we're gonna make bigger, thicker circle plates out of 5/16. This is the foundation of everything. This is gonna support every bit of the truck's weight, so this thing needs to be super strong. Then we'll have our spacer to simulate the bag when it's at ride height. To mount that up underneath the frame, where they're going to be. And this thing looks so beefy in the back. I want to continue the bag mounts to look beefy too. So I want something just mean looking, right?
Hell yeah.
So I think we ought to come right off the axle up to the bag mount, and then all the way across to the other bag mount, and then down to the axle.
Okay.
Just with two.
Got it.
We'll just bend it. We're not going to roll it or anything because it's a boxy truck. So we'll continue with just square bends. It's still going to look really cool and be really strong. Looking good, man. We got the diagonal link, got the 4-link, got the bag mounts. You know, one more step.
Shock time.
That's it. We need a bottomed out measurement of our shock. So that's why we made a quick jig. Makes it super easy to duplicate. You know, with the really large size of this truck, you know, it's going to need some good dampening shocks, especially with the big triple bellow bag. You want something that's going to control the bounciness. I mean, that's basically what a shock does. It controls the rebound of the suspension. You know, sometimes it just looks like we throw a shock in place. Oh, building suspensions, placing shocks. You learn what to do and what not to do, and you improve each and every time. Every vehicle is a little different as far as weight, the angle of the shock, how stiff the shock is, relating to the weight of the vehicle, to what type of suspension, how long the suspension bars are. I mean, there's variables on everything. You know, we got some good stiff shocks at the proper angle. This thing's gonna ride really, really good.
Hey man, what's going on?
A good trip for you?
Oh, absolutely. Great roads all the way up to Houston from Oklahoma.
Man, I sure appreciate you coming down.
I think we may have built exactly what you need for this build.
Cool, man. Let's check it out. A lot of times, we just build the new truck beds. But interest of time, I designed one that Billy made just for this truck. Man, the first thing you notice is that big wheel well.
Exactly. I hope you got a big enough tire to fit this.
Definitely.
I'll tell you, man, when I saw the drawings, I was concerned, but I know you, it's all good. Got your gooseneck hitch, your receiver hitch built in, so be able to tow and haul with that big rig.
Yeah, this thing's cool. You know, this isn't off the shelf.
It's not off the shelf, I'll assure you. Certainly.
Off and get it on the truck. How much does this thing weigh, you think?
I don't know. I hadn't built it before.
What's going on, man?
Man, I need your help, buddy. This truck is just big, mean, huge lip, big tires. This little puny bumper.
Man, that ain't gonna cut it.
I want to leave the holes, the hooks, the bumper mounts, everything here.
Okay.
So all I'll have to do is split it right here, straight down here, and then straight across.
We'll just carry that all the way across.
We'll split it like that, and then all we'll have to do is add 8 inches in the middle. Put it all right back together.
I'm gonna go ahead and section it in the middle. We'll have a much more aggressive bumper that's gonna look perfect on this truck. All right, so I got my filler piece now to go ahead and connect my bottom of the bumper to the top of the bumper where I sectioned it. If I fit this properly, I won't have any issues down the road when I'm going to weld all this together. Because if it's not lined up, I'll be fighting the metal the whole time I'm welding it. All right, so I got my centerpiece in. I'm gonna go ahead and start tacking the edges.
right here to make it a perfect fit. Okay, so I got the bumper looking pretty good, the 8-inch section in there. I'm really happy with the way it fit. So the next thing to do is go ahead and put the side pieces on. You just gotta do it by eye. I like that fancy footwork. It's pretty close. So I'm gonna go ahead and tack it in. So everything looks pretty good. Everything's welded solid. The next step is go ahead and mount it up to the truck and see how it looks.
The owner, John, wants a really unique truck. You know, one that can win trophies, but also get to work. So we're gonna add a winch behind the bumper. With something this size, you never know when you're gonna need one.
Okay, so now that I got the bumper mounted on here in section, everything's good on it. I'm gonna go ahead and start mounting my winch. Try to get the winch centered up somewhat behind the bumper. So first thing is to do is go ahead and start building the brackets and go ahead and mount the winch. Man, that's perfect.
Get this over to Rudy, get it burned out, and get it on the truck.
Winch bracket, I'm gonna go ahead and stick in the brake and put a 90-degree brake on it. Once I'm done with that, I'll go ahead and bring it to the truck and fit it up. Now that I got my winch bracket bolted to my winch, so I'm going to go ahead and put some tack welds on it. Then I'll go ahead and put my bumper on it and check my clearance. So it's pretty much a slide for the cable. Basically, we're trying to center this up with the winch. We don't want it too high, we don't want it too low. We want it to be centered so when it winds up or unwinds, that it's not in a bind. But it's pretty important to get this pretty close to the center of the winch, the drum, and then it'll be right. I overcut it just a little bit so the winch cable doesn't fray or catch on the metal. Pretty happy with it, looks good, looks right where it needs to be, so he'll be able to help people out or help himself out in a bind.
Transforming the overall look of this 1996 International dump truck is so now it's 9 feet long, which is about 3 feet shorter than it was. 9 foot, 109 inches. We're cutting the frame and boxing it in so it'll look like it came from the factory like this. Then it'll be just as strong. Close your gap up. You know, in the early days of a big build like this, it can be hard to see how we're going to turn the old dump truck into a mean military-looking truck. But you got to keep the faith and just make it happen bit by bit. You know, when a custom car guy and an antique come together, that's just a combination to make something really cool and over the top. You know, Javier's in a lowrider club. He's got to show up and show off. He's got to keep his rep up. We built a ton of cars for Javier, like this 46 Chevy right here. And anytime he calls, we're happy to help.
Hey, Bill. How's it going, man? Good to see you.
Hey, real good. Good to see you.
Man.
Good to see you. Man, your cars are looking good.
Oh, man, thanks. Remember this one?
Yeah, that thing's still looking good, too.
And you did a great job on that. I'm a welder by trade, and I know his welds are perfect. Funny to say that, but
you know.
And you've done 3 for me. I've got 1 more for you, though.
Let's go check it out.
Let's go.
Man, that's a good-looking car.
1934 Buick.
This thing's like new.
80 years old. I found it in North Carolina. Guy had it in the garage for years.
This thing was top of the line back in the day. You don't find many 1934 Buick Model 57s looking this original, this clean. Well, what do you want to do to this? I mean, it looks perfect.
You know, Bill, I like driving. And right now, I can't drive this thing. The car's not reliable. It overheats. So I want to be able to go where I want to go and not have any problems at all.
So what's under the hood now?
It's straight A. You want to look at it?
Wow, this thing is cool.
Pretty old, isn't it?
Straight 8, you don't see that a lot.
No.
So you want to take this original car, take this original engine out, and
replace it with something else.
Bill, that's what I want to do.
This is one of the very few times that I'm a little hesitant about taking this car apart.
We're going to piss some people off.
Definitely. Some people are going to be mad.
You know, a lot of people don't like changing parts. They like to keep cars all original, but I like driving them. So
Original engine out, put a late model Chevy in it. That way you got your reliability, fuel economy, power, something you can just get in and drive wherever.
That's what I want, Bill.
That's what you're going to get. If we're already going that far with this thing, we might as well put some air suspension on this thing and get it down really low. I know how you and your boys like to ride low.
We roll fast, but we also roll low.
Gotta lower it.
You gotta lower it.
You know, to even get this thing a little lower, we'll put a little bit lower profile tire and take these wheels and change the color. Just make it stand out a little more.
Yeah, let's do it.
That's got to be it. We can't chop the top or cut the interior out or paint it a different color or anything. I mean, we're already committing blasphemy with the Buick people. You ready to piss some people off?
That's why I called you, Bill.
Man, bringing a car in this old, this original, this cool, it's a shame just to do anything to it other than wash it. And we're just going to tear it all apart. I have my reservations, but I'm glad it's here. I'm glad it's us that's going to get our hands on it. We're going to show it the respect it deserves. And, you know, this car is so original. There's nothing been done to it. So we're going to be the first ones to do that. All our parts and pieces that we're going to build are going to make sure the car is done perfect.
Didn't you guys have one of these when you were little? Brand new?
Man, first gotta wash this thing, clean it up a little bit. A little maintenance, right?
Customer's got a different idea on that.
Don't tell me we're cutting this up.
That's what he wants, man. The problem with this thing is the straight 8 in it is just not reliable for him. He wants something he can just get in, you know, turn the key, start it up, cruise wherever he wants to go, and not have to worry about all the issues that come with the old technology here. So what we're going to do is pull this out, put a late model LS in it, something he can just get in it, hit the key, and go wherever he wants, not have to worry about overheating or anything. We're going to replace the rear end, give him something a little more of a strength to it, man. This one definitely won't hold up to the power LS puts out. You know, new drive line, the whole new running gear, disc brakes, front and back. He wants this thing to be able to drop on the ground also. So we got to replace the straight axle in the front of this thing, replace it with independent front suspension and air suspension on top of that. So when he gets where he's going, drop this thing on the ground.
Hell yeah.
Man, you really don't have any issue cutting this thing up, huh?
If it ain't cut, it ain't custom.
I hear you, man, but you know, we want to give it a little extensive style. You know, something maybe like a coil pack cover to maybe go with the styling of the car.
It'll make not as many people hate us for putting an LS on this thing.
It doesn't matter what we do. They're going to hate us for pulling this one out. Let's get this thing up on the rack, start tearing it apart.
Cool.
First things first, the little one's got to rip out the old suspension and then the motor.
Man, it's crazy this old car has a gearbox style mechanism on the top of it. Usually they just have a bushing and a straight bolt, but since this is definitely not a gearbox, it's more than likely something with gears and oil. Man, they were smart back then. Everything's pretty much off the bottom. Now we can go ahead and just get this grill off. And then we can pull the engine out. Whew, that was heavier than I thought. Man, dude, look at all those springs.
And they don't really make them like this anymore, do they?
Nah, they don't at all. Here, let's get this on so we can get this motor out of here.
All right. Back it up.
It was like a Cummins engine, so huge.
I don't think I've ever seen one like it, man.
I wonder if Al Capone used this car.
Probably not, man. We don't see any bullet holes in this engine.
Designing the suspension transmission on this old school Buick definitely has some challenges. None of our off-the-shelf parts are going to work, so Ryan's got to get busy by making all custom parts.
We're going to start now with making the mounts for the two links. As you can see what we get to work with here, we would typically just make our own cross member, but with the structure and everything that's going on here, I don't think it's necessary. We can reinforce this and build brackets off of this, and it will work just as well, and it will look great. That's perfect. Taking my templates over to Rudy so you can burn them out. Hey, dude. What's up? Is that quarter? That's quarter. That's quarter. I was going to have you cut two of these out for me so I could just cut this while you were doing that, but since that's quarter, I'm just going to make you cut all of them out for me. I know you're not doing anything over here.
That's what I'm here for, right?
Appreciate you.
Once I get all my curves and lines figured out, I'll trim everything up, transfer it over into the program, cut Ryan's pieces out, clean them up, take them over to him.
Alright, so after I get my pieces cleaned off, get all the slag chipped off of these, I'll take the template and mark the lines where I need a bend. I'll use that other little template that I made, and I'll take it over to the big break, and I'll just slowly bend it until I get the right radius that I want. Everything we do is trial and error. I'd like to get it on the first time, but it don't always work out that way. Cut that out with the plasma cutter. And tack it in. Alright, so we got the plates welded into the frame, stiffen it up. Also gave us a mounting point for our two-link tabs. The tabs basically will weld to the frame, and this is going to be your mounting point. This is your pivot point here. So this is where it's going to connect to the rear end. We'll start here and move our way to these other cars are built and just so rigid. It's a really rough ride. This would be like night and day difference. This would be riding on a cloud versus riding in a wagon barrel down a gravel road, so I think what we're doing here is a little better.
Dang, man.
Yeah, that's pretty bad, man. This thing is rough, dude. The diesel in this dump truck came to us in rough shape. Well, there was a lot of creative fixes and even garden hose under the hood. John, the owner, wants to keep this engine and make it reliable, so I asked the Wells family to come on in and get this thing running right.
Bro wasn't lying, was he?
No, I can see why they call it the dump truck.
This thing is terrible, man. Got some electrical tape there.
On a fuel hose? That's a hazard just waiting to happen.
Yeah, we've got our work cut out for us, man. First things first, let's get this big honking piece of trash off here. Let's clean that up with a newer updated intake.
Help it breathe a little more?
Yeah, get a little more power out of it. We need to change out all the radiator hoses, get all this stuff cleaned up. Watch out. You'll give it a little more appeal under the hood.
That insulation is not going to work. We're going to have to rip that out. We'll probably have to do something about the heat, so we'll heat wrap this sound pipe. What we have here is exhaust wrap that's a firewall, getting your feet nice and hot. It also helps clean up your engine bay and make it look a lot nicer. All right, now we got all the ugliness out of it. It's time to start cleaning her up and moving forward. What we have here is a K10 air filter. They are really good about airflow. They allow air to get in and keep the most dirt and grime out of the engine. She's a lot better than she was.
That's right, bro. Let's get the hose on there. Last thing we gotta get taken care of, the safety hazard of this wiring.
Yeah, I'd hate for something bad to happen there.
These wires, when they're bunched together, can cause a break in the circuit and them to short out. The short, it can create a spark, and right here by the fuel system, it's a terrible thing to happen. So I'm gonna trim this off, put us a butt connector in here, a heat shrink one, so we can keep this sealed off from the element. Move the wiring and take the slack out in other places so it's a smoother transition from here to main harness. And then get it all nice and zip tied out of the way so it doesn't look like trash. Well, that's it, man. I think we got it all.
We ended up having to do a few extra things to it, but I think it was well worth it. Now it's not going to catch on fire.
It looks 10 times better, a lot safer. It's ready to go, man.
School bus yellow isn't going to cut it on the dump truck. It needs a big color change. to give it that militaristic, overall mean look.
What's up, man? How's it going?
Good, man. I got the color for the old dump truck. A metallic gun barrel gray is really going to be the way to go on this. Not just that, but I think I want to go with the two-tone.
Two-tone?
Black bed, black running boards, and the very, very roof I want all black also.
Damn, it's gonna look enojado.
What's that?
Real mean. Real mean.
That's it,
right,
buddy. Do it to it.
Got it.
You know, I want something on this truck that's really gonna stand the test of time. I don't want army green. I don't want the Desert Storm tan. The gunmetal gray is definitely going to make this thing look really cool, give it an aggressive look, and still be custom. John, the client, said he wanted this international dump truck to be unique. We're definitely heading in that direction. Now it's time for the custom flatbed.
The next project is getting this thing on the truck, which is not going to be an easy task because it's got such a long bed in the back, we can't pick it up from the rails.
You got to spend extra time to do every little step. You know, just picking the bed up is just one more example of how much work goes into something like this. We're about to see if it'll work.
Man, the gunmetal gray, the black, it's just going to tie together perfectly. Ready? Yeah. We'll bolt it down from there. Go down.
This is a big ass bed. This thing's finally starting to look like something.
It definitely gave it the industrial look that he was looking for.
Right? Definitely no more school bus now. This thing looks mean. Man, it's a good day. We'll get the rest of this thing tomorrow, mount this bed, start building the running boards on this thing. Good night. Truck's so tall, we're going to need some extra steps going in. So we're going to make some running boards / steps, and I'd like to make it one solid piece. The problem with that is the cab's 7 foot long, and our equipment's running boards out of 2 pieces. It just takes extra time to get everything 100%, and this truck flexes a lot, so over time it wouldn't line up as if it would if it was one piece. I'm gonna go see my old buddy Ernest at Diamond Sheet Metal. He always helps us out. I've known Ernest since I was a kid. He's one of the Northside experts I can always count on.
What we got going on?
Man, I'm working on Old International. Thing's way off the ground. It's a huge truck.
Way off the ground, all right.
So I need some running boards / steps integrated in it.
Okay.
I need 2 pieces, 7 foot at a 14 gauge.
We can break it up to 12 foot. 10 foot, whatever you need.
Well, I only need 7. I know you got the big brakes, the big shears. So whenever I can't do it, I come see you.
We can handle it.
Well, thank you, man.
All right.
Give me a call, man, when you got it.
I'll do it, man. Take care. When Bill shows up in my shop, I know it's something I got to hurry up and do, so I usually stop, produce whatever he wants. Back in the 70s, that's how long I've been knowing Bill. He used to lower bikes, stuff like that, and I knew he had a great future in it because if he can do it with a bicycle, he can do it with a car. We're making all these marks, they got to be right on the money. These are where the brakes are going to be. If you don't mark them off right, we got to start all over. You got to mark here with a circle, it's going to be bent up. No circle, it's going to be bent on the other side, bent down. If you don't bend these things right, all the money and material is wasted.
The undercarriage of this old school Buick is structurally different from most of the vehicles we work on. They just don't make them like this anymore.
You know, there's not a whole bunch to the rear of these cars. It's real thin sheet metal and a lot of wood, so we don't have a lot to work off of, and I don't want to just weld straight to the frame rail because they're like 10 gauge. It's real thin. So I'm making a foundation basically to be able to, build my rear suspension off of. what this is gonna do is act as part of my frame. We'll get some bag brackets on there, some shocks, diagonal link, and we'll have a brand new suspension on the rear of this car. That's it. Let's do some shocks. Let's get some shocks in here. With the way that I'm putting the shock and where it's gonna be placed, I just want a bag that's never going to hit it. Even though we do a bunch of air suspension here, every application is different for the most part. You know, the concept is the same, but actual building it and getting into it and making it functional and making it work and the geometry staying the same, it's all different. That's what keeps this job, you know, interesting and makes it fun to come to work every day because it's not that repetitive, same old, every single day. But it's done back here and now we get to move on to the front. Got the lower control arm bolted up and the spindle bolted up. As you can see where the frame comes and where my lower control arm is, there's no room for a bag, there's no room for anything. So just like everything else, we're gonna have to make it work. Decompress with no air in the bag is gonna be 3 inches, right? I'll take this 3-inch block, describe a line all the way across. Judging by the looks of this right here, my tie rod's gonna be somewhere in this area here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just cut what we need with the plasma, make a plate to fill it. For the most part, I got everything cut out. Right now, I'm gonna get some 4-inch flat block to make my fill piece here. Nice fit. Everything is going to be built off of this plate right here for our upper bag bracket. So this is critical in making sure that this is fit up properly and welded in properly. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to trim it back, get a nice fit up, get it tacked in, then we'll weld it off. And whenever you're welding, you want to get a nice weld, a nice fuse. You want to go from metal to metal. You don't ever want it to overlap completely and then just weld the outside. It's not going to get anything in there. It's not fusing the thing. What I'm looking for on this is just trying to match the same radius here. Just I want that same roll all the way through so it looks like nothing was ever touched. It looks like it came like that. So just start on the flat spots first. I like to knock it down and make sure it's flat and then start rolling. So once I get it kind of close, I'll come back with the flat disc and then clean it up, get rid of most of these lines, hit it with a DA or a wire wheel. I mean, that's pretty much it. I've been liking it. Looks real nice. We got work to do, man.
Ryan's putting together the last little bits of the front suspension on the old school Buick.
So this is exactly where it's going to be right here. Now everything's in place. I can just attach to the top of the frame, get that tucked in there, throw a shock mount on here, and drop our motor in here pretty soon.
Yes, sir. Man, I get it. I totally know what you're talking about. You know what we can do? We can just pause on it, let you think about that. Once you think about it, let me know. We'll get back on it. All right. Just the person I'm looking for. Man, I just got off the phone with Javier, you know, with the Buick. He's not real sure of what engine he wants to put in it, so he wants to put that thing on pause for a minute. The customer needs some time to make the right decisions on the right engine, so we're going to give that to him. I get it, man. He wants to think about exactly what he wants. We don't want to give him nothing that he's not 100% sure about. The extra time always takes a toll on the bottom line, but that's what we're doing to make it right. Trust me, this thing will be perfect when it's finished.
Cut a piece 32.3. Tail chop it on top of the panel board.
It was a working dump truck, so the interior left a lot to be desired.
Just tape it to it.
You definitely can't have that, so John's gonna make it right.
We're building a big, badass dump truck. So we got to get something that's going to be utilitarian and follow along in design and keep up with the beating around this truck's going to get. So we're going to make some really cool door panels. The idea that we have here is we're going to make a metal kick plate. That way it's good and rugged for climbing in and out. You kick it with your boots, whatever. It's good to go. You know,
this is kind of the fun part to me, the creative part. You know, you get in here, you get to lay this out, really actually bring your idea into fruition. You know, with this truck, it's big, it's boxy, it's a beast coming down the road. So you open the door, you want to kind of have that same idea. It just needs to say, I'm ready to work. Next thing I'm gonna do, start cutting this apart, and we'll transfer it onto the base panels, and we'll get it foamed up. Here to my foam. Time to get busy. Like I hadn't been busy already. Alright, now I'm just gonna trace this out. When you're cutting this foam down, if you put any kind of lean in it, and it will show up in the end, or it's tougher to have to sand out. So just kind of work keeping that blade straight up and down. We're actually going to put a beveled edge around this, and that way when it comes up, it'll dip down into the insert panel, up both sides. So just cool little detail. Get all that thing beveled back, and once that's done, we put another layer over it. I'm going to wrap the doors in marine vinyl while Jamie's cutting out the steel for the kick plates.
This is going to look really good on the door panels that John's doing. I went ahead and cut this out of 18 gauge steel, just sheared it. Now I'm going to cut it to the right size, go ahead and prep the material, and I'll bring it back to it. All right, looks good. I'm happy with it. I'm going to go ahead and bring it to John, go ahead and do a test fit real quick, and go from there.
See how she fits. Cool, man. Perfect fit.
Cool. Well, let me go knock out the mother 30.
Can't wait to get over to the body shop and let them get this thing painted, get this door panel together. It'll look pretty cool.
It's going to look nice.
Panel harness did really, really good. I mean, all the angles look exactly perfect, exactly what I wanted. So next step is just get this up here and start shaping it. Hey, pretty soon we'll have a running board.
Put your hand out there.
So about 5 inches. And we made it a little bit too long so we could shrink it down, cut a little here, a little there, make this thing fit perfect. From the front fender well all the way to the bed.
Man. That's a big difference. That's nice. It's going to make it real easy to get right on up in here.
Next step is just shaping it perfect to the fender itself.
Pretty cool little trick right there.
Used to have a sign company across the street. Showed me that. Of course, we just could have squared the ends off and put it on. You know, taking the time to shape it, to make it fit the truck.
It's like the front just right here needs to come in a little bit.
As if it would have came from the factory like that. That's what I want it to look like in the end. You know, no matter what we're working on, a little extra time, a little extra cut, a little extra weld makes a huge statement in the overall project. Can't wait to see this thing black up against that gray. It's really going to finish the whole thing off.
My name L1 actually means little one, and I got that name around the age of 14 doing electrical, body shop, and paint. I always wanted to keep on learning, keep on going to the next thing. Start from the bottom, work your way to the top. You gotta know how to do every single part of the job. The first thing I learned how to do was actually sweep up a shop. If you don't know how to sweep up a shop, then you shouldn't be doing much of anything else. I'm not done learning yet. This is me with 10 years experience. I want to see myself with 20 years experience, 30 years experience. You always want to get something right and then keep on learning, but you got to learn the right way with the right people. If you're not open-minded to learn from others, then you're not going to get very far in this business. I like working at Extensive. The talent here is so diverse, and it's just crazy the amount of knowledge that you can gain. If something breaks, you make it. If you can't find it, you make it. If you can't do it, you make it and you do it. And that's why we keep building the best things that come out.
And like that, what was an ugly international dump truck has become something else entirely. Installing the seats, doors, running board, 10-inch tall tires. There won't be another custom truck quite like this on the road.
what's up?
Hello.
Hi, and good to see you as always.
Same.
What up, Johnny? I've known John Wood for quite some time. I love this guy, but I love messing with him too.
You got some news for me?
Well, I wanted you to come out and check this thing out. I got a couple questions on it.
That usually means there's problems, so how much more money do I owe you?
Right? I called him in, told him we had a couple issues with this truck. You already know how rough that thing is.
It shouldn't have any rust. It was covered with tar.
You know, I can tell right now he's super worried. He thinks it's going to cost him a lot. You ready to go check it out?
Yeah, let's go see what we got going. It always bothers me when you say you have a problem and you want me to... Oh, that's not a problem. That's done. You lied to me. You're lying to my hand. Holy, that's beautiful. And it's not yellow.
Of course, there was a couple problems, but now it definitely runs and
that
drives.
Thing is bad, eh?
It's ready to roll, John.
It's really, really neat.
What do you think about the bumper on this thing? Split it, added 8 inches, made this thing way bigger with the big winch on it.
Added a winch. He even added a winch. I didn't ask for it. We're going to get it stuck sooner or later, and we're going to need the thing. I knew it was big when I saw it at the office, but in here, this thing's huge.
It was already big, but it's way, way, way bigger now.
The color choice was good.
Right? Getting rid of the school bus yellow was most definitely an essential part of the build. Changing it to gunmetal gray and making it a two-tone, it was definitely the right way to go.
Well, that's very different.
Right? You had creative fixes all throughout. This thing was a fire hazard for sure. My one-way diesel guys came in, they just fixed everything and addressed all the issues.
I knew it was bad. I had no idea it was actually a fire hazard. I'm glad they fixed it all up because, you know, I have employees that are going to drive it and it has to be safe. Wow.
What do you think about this thing?
I love it. This is great.
Right? This is way better before. Those old steps on this thing, you can see all the frame. Couldn't have that new running boards on this thing and integrated the steps in it.
Vertically challenged, dude. I have to wait to get up there. You refinished it all. New seats, carpet, door panels. Wow. Wow. I bet it doesn't even stink in
new smell in there. Just had to rip all that out. Had the seats redone, got new carpet in it, and there was no door panels in this thing.
Right.
So John and Daniel hooked you up with that. You know, we could have just wrapped this thing, changed the color.
This is way better than a wrap.
You know, this is going to represent your company and mine, so we got to do this thing right, man.
Absolutely. Now on to the good stuff.
Right? What do you think about that?
It looks correct.
No more dump truck, right?
No more dump truck for sure.
Cut the back of the frame off, scooted the axle forward. All the suspension was all handmade underneath this thing. It's got a huge 4-link on this with big triple bellow bags, so you can haul whatever you put on the back of this thing can haul it.
Wow.
And ride.
And ride
super
good.
Smooth. And the bed was built specifically for this truck. You see the big wheel well opening.
Yeah.
So what do you think, man? Is it going to work for you?
Absolutely. I'm afraid to scratch it now. The bed scale matches the truck scale with the giant wheels and tires. It's a functional truck, and we're going to work this truck. You can tell the people that do this, they're craftspeople.
That's right. We all have passion for what we do, for sure. You know, this is just one more example just to show how good a guy in the shop just kicked ass time and time and time again. I know this thing is going to do everything you could ever want with it and even way, way more.
Thank you. This
again. And then you throw Earl Campbell's name on top of this, the NFL legend. Nah, there's no pressure there. This is a 1940 F100. How's this thing ride?
Like a buck horse?
Looking at this frame, there's just no saving it. Just turned into a full frame makeover. Some things snowball. This is pretty much an avalanche. Check this thing out.
Ah, there we go.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal. you to pick up, you expect to go get a car, a whole car. As you can see, this definitely isn't the case. We have a body, frame, and parts. Crates and crates of parts. Apparently, whoever had this car last took it apart, didn't really know what to do, how to finish this. God, dog, there's some shit in here. You know, it's not like this project isn't out of our realm, but in a situation like this, you don't know what you got until you really start putting this thing together and seeing what you don't have. You know, a project this size is a lot of work, but no matter what we have to do, it's all going to be worth it, especially for the client we're building for here. Man, you told me you had a 1949 Cadillac. I got boxes of a 1949 Cadillac. Well, Earl Campbell was maybe one of the toughest players I've ever seen.
Born and played in Texas, around Houston. He's more than a Hall of Famer. He's a legend.
I tell you, Reno, I'm here because after I saw Slim Thug, that Cadillac you did, I said I better get that 49 on over here. I like the color wheels, I like the stands, I like that air suspension on it. And when I get there, this is who can build my 49 Cadillac.
Hey, I was real Jersey. You know, with the black.
Ooh, that's hot. I'm gonna use more.
That's plenty. Plenty.
Keeping all this together is real critical, especially like on a 49 Cadillac. You don't just find passenger door parts just at your hardware store.
You know, most of the time when a car comes in, it's complete. Then you take it apart and you start building. In this case, all the parts are crammed in the car, crammed in boxes, crammed everywhere. We don't know what we're even working with. So first things first, we have to lay it all out and to see where to start with this whole puzzle. This is my first time ever putting a 49 Cadillac together, and we don't even know if all the pieces are there. So that's what we're figuring out now, how many pieces we're missing, so we can start assembling the car. I'm gonna have Ryan put the front end on, just to really see what we're looking like. We have to build the car in order to take the car apart to build the car again. So, you know, we're already 10 steps back. I'll throw Earl Campbell's name on top of this. Nah, there's no pressure there. What up, fellas?
What up, man?
What's happening? You ready to get this thing going?
Mm-hmm. We're just talking about the front end made a huge difference on this car.
Man, it's a cool car. Cool body style, the 49 Cadillac. You know, we've never built one of these, but, you know, ain't no problem.
Nah.
It's a real cool car for a real cool guy that I'm honored to be able to get to work on this car for him. What I want to do is build something just unique to show everyone this is how Extensive does it. Full custom chassis, air suspension, and the biggest wheel possible on this thing. Full custom interior, wants to bring his Texas colors inside the car. You know how we do.
Oh, yeah.
We got to put some power in this thing. I want him to get behind the wheel and just keep scared for a minute. You know what I mean? The end result is just going to be, wow. Yeah. That's what we want. Let's put a little bit more of the car together to really see what we're working with. The little stuff, we're not a restoration shop, so we're not trying to put every part and piece back on this thing the way it came from the factory. We're in the making cool-ass car business, and that's what we're going to do. So first things first, let's get this up at a good working height, the front fenders. We'll start building chassis. Y'all ready to get to it?
Let's do it. Yeah, dude.
As you can see, I got a nice little rust patch here, same as the other side. I just grinded it just so I can see how much of it was good and what was bad. As you can see, this is just built up rust from over the years. This is where all the water sits, you know? It's everything that runs down the car on the inside and everything. Water has no other where to go. It sits there and it just sits and sits and sits and ends up eating through everything. And this is a common place for rust repair. This, cab corners, anything like that, very typical. As you can see, this thing is pretty pitted and rusted up. I'm going to cut it out and replace this as well.
Fix the body on Earl Campbell's 49 Cadillac. We're designing and making a one-off frame. You know, anytime we're starting a chassis, the first thing we do is determine where the ground is going to set. Pull it tight, just real quick. You know, 9 times out of 10, we want those things flat on the ground. So we build the frame tucked up underneath the car. That way it can ride lower, sit lower, and just overall look cooler. Use a string line to simulate where the ground's going to be. So that's what we're doing right now to figure out a couple little clearance measurements, and then we'll kind of go from there to get a game plan on the frame. 1/4 inch back. Okay, that is center. The next thing we measure for is length. So we've determined where we want the end of the frame, 37 1/4. And just come up with all them measurements, transfer it to the table. So we'll have all our templates to go cut our material. Last little piece there, we're ready to start cutting. Not every project comes into the shop in pieces like Earl's Caddy, thank goodness. But sometimes we get the complete opposite. A truck that looks almost that matter. Hey, good morning.
Hello, Bill. Chris, how you doing?
Hey, nice to meet you. It's a cool little truck you got. This is a 1940 F100 Ford pickup. Whoever worked on this before kept its original styling, but still gave it a little custom look.
Had it about 4 years now. Bought it from a friend of mine out of Dallas. Wife always liked farm trucks, and he had one.
It's a cool looking truck. It's definitely got the farm feel here. Did you buy this, just like this?
Pretty much. The only thing I've done is put tires on it.
So you've been driving it pretty regularly?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
We put thousands of miles on it, using it to go on car show trips. Tennessee, North Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi.
Think pretty comfortable inside?
Not at all.
Yeah, I can definitely see what you mean. It's cramped in here. It must be brutal riding this thing across the country.
It is. For the driver, it's pretty bad. Definitely kills your back.
What we need to do, Chris, is just tear everything in here out and just start over. Let's maximize every inch of space and give you as much room as possible so we can make it as comfortable for you as can be.
Right.
How's this thing ride?
Like a buck horse. So that's a problem too.
You and your wife have been traveling, putting yourself through that misery.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Air suspension on this thing just solve all those issues.
Good, that's what we're looking for.
Chris, what you got back here?
Well, that's a Ford with the heartbeat of a Chevy.
What do you got in the hood of this thing?
Man, it's an old Chevy 327.
Let's check it out. Oh, small block, huh?
Yeah.
Most people like to keep that secret, but old Chris is proud of it. He likes that Chevy heartbeat in the Ford truck. How's this thing run?
Well, it runs okay, but it definitely has a drinking problem. I don't have to change oil, I just add it at every trip.
Well, there's a couple ways we can do this. We can just do a little surgery on this thing, freshen it up, or just do a total transplant and just pull this thing out. Just putting a late model LS in this thing, something really dependable with a lot of power to be real cool in it.
That'll work. I was thinking about rebuilding this motor, but you might as well just go all the way, replace the motor, and that way it's more dependable, easy ride, and I still have the Ford and the Chevy all in one.
Let's go make it happen.
All right.
And when a truck like this comes in, you just think, man, that's cool. I mean, this truck is 70 years old, probably not around anymore. Man, it's really cool to get this in and keep people interested in vehicles like this and being able to put our own spin on it to even make it even cooler for the next generation to see and, and interest in them. Chris has been in the rules a little bit, putting a Chevy engine in a Ford truck, but there's no rules to custom. You can change stuff. You can add this, add that, do it however you want it. That's the definition of custom. If Chris wants a Chevy engine on the Ford, we're going to give him exactly what he wants and then some.
So just so you guys know, I spotted something. That's a Chevy and a Ford. We're replacing the motor, right?
We're replacing the motor, but we're replacing it with the Chevy.
So Chris likes being the guy known to drive a Ford with a Chevy motor?
That's his deal. That's what everybody knows him by.
I can't say I blame the guy. You know? I mean, really. What else are we doing to this thing besides changing the heartbeat with another heartbeat?
Chris and his wife go to car shows all over the country. They travel in this. They don't trailer it. They get in it and they drive this thing to ride good, look good when it's parked. Not only that, we need to build a bigger fuel cell for him, something that they don't have to stop every 200 miles and get fuel.
Gotcha.
They only want to stop when they want to stop, not when they have to stop.
All right, so let me chase down a previously loved GM power plant.
You do that, we're going to rip the front end off, get the motor and trans out, and we'll let you know if we need anything else.
Let's do it.
Wait on you, man.
You know, that old suspension didn't age well. Jamie and Ryan are going to cut all that out.
And make room for that new air suspension, adding a notch on the frame for that rear end.
Wow, so no wonder this guy was having a bumpy ride. Looks like they cut the springs and put these little tensioners in there. That's a quick fix. So I actually grew up in a household with my dad. He was in the hot rods, and he's got nothing but old Fords, and every one of them has big block Chevrolets in them. So this is really common for me. This is kind of childhood right here with a Chevrolet motor and a Ford. Pretty familiar. Oh man, it looks pretty clean under here.
Yeah, dude, it's not too bad actually.
See why we want to change this out. It's pretty small.
It is pretty small.
Yeah.
You really don't see those mufflers no more. That's cool that he went his own little route with it.
Yeah.
Let's tear it all apart, man.
Let's do it. Okay, so we got everything cut out of our 40 Ford right here. So our next step is go ahead and put the notch in. Basically, we got to make this off this notch, match the bottom of this door, so we're going to make sure everything looks parallel.
31 7/16
on the money. Then go ahead and tack it. Then do the same thing on the other side.
So now that we got our notch plates tacked in and everything is right where we want it, we're going to make all of our filler plates now. We want the structure there, so we'll put this, plate it, tack it in, and weld it all before we cut the centers out. You don't ever want to just put your notches in there and then cut it out right away because you have no structure and the frame could buckle, move all over the place, and do its own thing. So now I can go ahead and cut the center part out. Now I just got to add some fillers, weld it out, and the notch is done. And that's how you knock out a notch.
Pulling out the old engine on the 1940 Ford, full front end is, and it's really bad. Man, I've been thinking about which way to go with this, and this just, we can't build around this.
Yeah.
No matter what we do, this is still going to be here.
Yeah.
We got to cut all this out of the way. Let's save this part of the frame.
Okay.
You know, go back in with the filler in here and make it look like it hadn't been touched. Like this part of the frame is brand new.
Right.
And then we'll start from there.
Sounds
We'll
good.
get our new cross member in here. Then we can put our engine in.
Everything that we got here is just complete crap. It's bent, it's old, it's poorly fabricated. It's not gonna work with what we're doing. So I'm gonna cut everything out and start from scratch.
You know, I'm looking at this frame and just seeing all the dead ends we're gonna hit. Every roadblock, every step down the way. There's just no saving it. You know, it's going to be best for us just to think totally outside the box and make something a lot better. Rebuilding the front of this frame is definitely going to make it a lot stronger and save us a whole lot of headaches in the future.
All right, everything's fit up, looking real good. It's just grind it all up, and we'll be ready for our cross member. I need to grind this so I can get a good weld. Gotta get all these tacks, dude. So I got all the welding done. I'm just gonna grind these welds down. Once I'm done, these front horns will look brand new. And then we can move on to the cross member. Alright, I'm done. I'm going home.
Of a ground up build like this 49 Caddy, I think from the ground up. Hand making a frame lets us personalize the vehicle totally to the person, bottom to the top. You know, it's a huge honor to get to build something for the legend Earl Campbell. You know, we build a lot of frames, but we're really gonna do what we can to make this special, you know, not only for Extensive, but for Earl himself.
Here's him running over everybody in the NFL. We're gonna build a frame that strong.
Good. Now we have this all tightened down flat against the table. You can see we have a nice little gap in between the tubing. It looks like a bad fit, but you know, my preference is having that 3/16 gap in between each intersection of the tubing. That way we can weld that thing back and forth and not have to have a huge bevel or worry about penetration. Once this is welded, you know it's going to stay there forever. All right. All finished up with the vertical weld. We're going to let this thing cool off. Then we can bust it apart, stand it, start building cross members. It's good. It's still a little warm, man, but it'll be good. Let's do it. Because we make our parts on site, as soon as we think it, we start making it to the exact dimensions we need. You know, that's the total definition of custom. Immediate satisfaction. You know, Earl's car, we're going to be using a 2-link suspension, which is a 2x2 square tubing linked from the hanger to the axle. That's why it's called 1997. We've been using it on about 80% of our vehicles since day one. It's ideal for a car like Earl, so we can get it really low and still get a lot of lift out of it, and it improves the handling for about 85% over the factory also. So this is the perfect suspension for this job. You know, one thing pretty unique to the 2-link itself is we're still using U-bolts. It's still going to connect the U-bolts to the axle to hold this all super tight. We'll use a piece of DOM and we weld it onto the link bar itself, so we don't have a traditional little anchor plate at the bottom. Using the DOM to the side of the link bar, it keeps everything super tight and it adds a little style to it also. Cool, we got the link bars all mocked up. Now it's time to get underneath there and mock up the suspension. See if it fits now. Two links are in. Last little bit is making a cross member to hang the 2 links onto, and that holds the whole rear suspension of the car. After that, bag mounts, shock mounts, diagonal link, we're ready to put it under the car. We finished the metalwork on the custom chassis and suspension for the 49 Cadillac. We got the bag mounts in, link bars in, suspension's done other than shocks. Shoot, we're ready to put this thing in the car. Now we're going to connect the frame to the front cross member and the core support. You know, we got the frame all attached to the body back here, so we know it's not going to go anywhere. So the next step, let's run our string line so we know where the center is. That's definitely a little forward. Let's start putting our front cross member up here. Get that all centered level. We'll start building from there all the way back and tie it in and tie right into the front. It's a done dilly. Now we have the right
angles where they connect. What we're doing now is making it go from a 5-inch frame to a 3-inch frame on top of the cross member. So we're having to basically pie a section out of it. So now what we have here is we have this piece cut down to match the 5-inch frame and the 3-inch frame rail. So what we'll do is we'll put this cap on top. We'll weld the sides to the cross member. Now we have this all tacked into place. We'll finish welding it out. We'll sand it down with the big pad. We'll never know it was cut. It'll transition from a 5-inch frame to a 3-inch frame and fit perfectly on the frame.
Step 198 complete. We got the front rails connecting to the cross member. Next step is weld this out. Then step 199 in the frame building process is connecting it to the core support mount part of the frame. So after that's done, frame's 100% complete. Just like the customer asked, we got that new Chevy engine for the 40 Ford.
Okay.
Because it's a new engine and trans, we just want to make sure this thing fits perfect. Got our engine in place. What should have been a quick air suspension job just turned into a full frame makeover. Cutting out parts and pieces of the frame that should have never been damaged in the first place, building a new cross member, and just slicking the whole frame, making it look brand new. With all the metal work we done on this truck, the interior, I asked Keith to make it custom.
All right, we got the 44 door panel all shaped out. We've got all the foam work done. Now I just need to disassemble it, get it wrapped up. We're gonna use the same materials and do some sculpting, but still have that modern hot rod type feel on this old truck. Try to cut it to where you're taking out the bulk of the material, but you can come back and trim later. But this is another technique that I do that most trimmers don't do. I just kind of bunch it up around the corners. I come in close, trim it with my knife. I melt the ends, and so it actually helps stick it down and gets rid of all these little bumps. I figured this method out myself. Now, we see we got this part wrapped. We'll move on to the other pieces. Down inside there. Just kind of stick it down, and then I try to manually, just with my hand, kind of tuck it in as much as I can. But then now you take this tool and just slowly run it through. Some people call these a no-sew pleat. I call it a heath roll. You know, it's not like this process is super difficult. It's just paying attention to the details. It's the little things that make a difference. Anything I build, I try to put a lot of little details into. Out of the line, all the way down. This is where you have to have a steady hand. Most people don't feel comfortable doing this freehand. I don't feel comfortable with a straight edge. You can be very careful with this foam. It can just rip off a chunk out of nowhere sometimes. It'll make you mad enough to throw it across the room. All right, we got the base panel wrapped. Now what we're gonna do is take this cool material. Being that it's an older vehicle, I wanted to bring fabric into it instead of everything being a vinyl or leather. It looks great, man. It came out looking real good. I like the fabric in there, along with the black to tie into the rest of the vehicle. It still has that old school feel to it, but it looks new.
You know, we get a lot of jobs in, sometimes in and out, sometimes take forever. This job was supposed to be engine, trans, air suspension, out the door. Well, some things snowball, and this is pretty much an avalanche. For starters, the master cylinder was all up underneath the bottom from the factory, so that's all in the way. So, you know, the wiring just looks like a bird nest underneath here. There's no way to tie in our wiring to this and to make it reliable. I mean, we could hit a bump and short out everything underneath this thing. You know, there's just problem after problem all in here. So we got to rip everything out and put everything in brand new. We didn't plan on working on the firewall firewall, the trans tunnel, the floor on the 40 Ford. But we can't let this thing leave the shop looking like it did. You know, we always expect the unexpected, but it always hurts.
Okay, that was the last of the wiring. The AC out, all the wiring, the column. So now this thing's not a trash wagon. We got all the garbage out of it. Next step I'm gonna do is go ahead and fill in all these holes in the firewall and make it beautiful again. Look at this. This is flimsy. This is not really good metal. So I'm gonna cut it out. What I'm doing right now is just making my rough template. Let's transfer this over to sheet metal. Once I do that, I can go ahead and trim, do what I need to do to get the piece to fit properly. Roll it, fill it in. Yeah, no, this is riddled. All this needs to go. Start from scratch, put fillet welds on them. I'm gonna make it nice and clean and smooth. Around these bigger holes, I'm gonna have to make sheet metal fillets. Take care of this, make it look beautiful. We got this nice new motor in here. Make everything nice and clean.
Alright, so the next step is do the transmission tunnel. We're going to try to make this as low as possible and as small as possible. And go over to the shear, to the brake, bend it, and roll it, and twist it, and pinch it, and poke it. Sometimes you got to dance on that metal. You got to let it know who the real moneymaker is. The roll is like just dead on the money. So, probably gonna get some cardboard and a marker and make me a template and transfer it here to the tunnel and just start trimming and cutting and trimming. And cutting and trimming some more.
Looks nice.
Yeah, I gotta do some more cutting.
Well, trying to give the benefit of the doubt. Other side looks real good.
Got the transmission tunnel tacked into place. What I'm gonna do is just take some sheet metal, fill in this patch back here. Alright, so we got the trans tunnel in here. The thing's super low. Got our little filler piece over here. It's all tacked in. Gonna start welding up a little bit on it. Do a few other little patches here and there, and we're moving on.
How's it looking in here?
It's looking all right. Slowly stabbing away at this thing.
Man, it looks real good. It's mounted nice. No holes in the floor. I like that. It looks safe now.
Yeah.
So just make sure you got as much room as possible in here. We want the seat as far back as we can in this thing. The long trips that get old all cramped up.
No doubt.
So I know you got this.
Right on. Appreciate it. So I gotta scrape all this dynamite out of the way. That way I can get a clean surface so I can weld to. So I'm taking a few measurements. I'm making me some angles, get some bracketry in here.
I mean, my grandfather told me one time that if someone else can do it, so can you. Sure. I've always took that with me and always push myself further and further. I want to always step it up some, do something different out of the box.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about working here. It's like every day we come in, it's like, oh, I was working on this truck yesterday.
Boom, you're over there.
We're over on this car now.
Everybody's got their own little niche. I pick up things from you. I pick up things from John, or we're working with Bill side by side.
Vice versa. It's a real team. Some people, they wake up every day and they go to that same cookie cutter job, doing the same exact thing every single day, that repetition. And it's just like, that's not for me. That desk job, cubicle, whatever it might be. I like this. I like, this is me.
I agree.
When Chris drove up in his 1940 Ford, this thing looked in real good shape. But we ended up having to do a lot more metal work to the frame and the cab than we planned.
Just got the frame back to powder coat. Everything looks nice and gloss black. Took a lot of hard work for me and Ryan to get the frame to look like this. Everything looks good. All the welds look good. So now it's time to go ahead and put it all back together.
We're almost there. We're painting the dash, color matching the engine.
Oh, there's a million clips. That looks good.
Fuel cell, new air suspension, definitely couldn't let him drive out missing the wiper blade. You know, not every easy job is easy. Sometimes the easy jobs just snowball into huge ones. This is a prime example. To get the job done right, sometimes it just takes a little extra work. In this case, a lot of extra work. I know when they see it, they're going to be super happy with what we've done. Today we're out in Old Town Spring. We're going to give Chris and Deborah their 1940 Ford back. Hey, what a great place, huh?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Old Town
Awesome
Spring
place.
just gives you that old feel that just it just fits the truck, right?
Exactly. Perfect.
Well, let's check this thing out. I'm getting Ryan to bring it around right now.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, it looks fantastic.
Like the nail to ride.
Right?
Yeah.
Sounds perfect. Sounds perfect. There we go. There you go, Bill. That's the look I want.
I've never seen an old truck do that before.
What y'all think? Is it low enough?
It's much lower than that.
That just changes the whole attitude when this thing sits on the ground like that, right?
It does. That's the wow factor.
You guys want to check out under the hood?
Sure.
I know you've been waiting on that.
Oh, yeah.
You pop it, Ryan?
Yeah, I get you. You ready for this?
Yeah. Okay. Some Chevy in there.
As you can see, that old tired 350's gone.
It's gone.
We have a new late model 6.0 in this thing, so it's got plenty of power. It's efficient, and it looks good.
When he opened the hood of that truck, I knew I was getting a new engine, but wow.
Truck may be a country girl, but she's got some city slicker shine inside.
How'd you get that in there?
Right? Right? We pulled the frame completely out and powder coated it. Made all new little brackets. It looks really, really nice from up underneath. And as you can see, brand new air suspension. That's all been powder coated too.
It looks gorgeous.
Man, it looks
gorgeous.
We're definitely proud of it. Let's check out the interior.
All right.
Oh, wow.
Man, Bill. That's plush. That'll handle a long trip.
That is beautiful. Looks fantastic.
Those seats, just scooting them back and recovering them just wasn't going to cut it.
Right.
So we just ended up stripping the whole interior. There was license plates crammed up in here, all inside to make patches on top of patches on top of patches on the
Oh, my
floor.
goodness. Wow.
So we addressed all that to start with, replacing all the sheet metal. We got the new center console, repainted the dash, upgraded the gauges. Got everything is all brand new. It's all 100% brand new. And of course, we got that other wiper blade on there too.
Yes, definitely. Had to have that.
Thank you. As a passenger, thank you.
It's going to be fun riding.
It is.
Right.
It definitely is.
What Bill's done now is just amazing, and definitely something that will last, well, probably our lifetime.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Perfect.
Hope you guys have, many happy years with it.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate it.
I can tell by the look on their faces, this is definitely what they wanted. They just didn't even know it. With all that extra work involved, it's days like today that really pay off to make a customer a happy customer.
They left the back side on Ford with the heartbeat of a Chevy. That's us.
That's us.
Really appreciate that they took care of this truck like it was their own, and they made it better.
They dropped it to the floor. That was just amazing. Can't wait to get it on the road, put some miles on it, and win some trophies at some shows.
Back in the day, Earl Campbell was one of the best football players and the toughest that anybody's ever seen. We're going to get him an engine to this 49 Caddy that's up to his standards. A brand new LSX 454 with over 600 horsepower. Now that we built a custom chassis, suspension, and fixed all the body, we got to make space for this engine. Man, this definitely isn't going to work. Well, the problem is, no room to mount our upper control arms. All this course support's in our way. I guess this is the old school crumple zone. So the best course of action, cut all this completely out of the way. You'll have more room for the radiator, have more room for the wheel, have more room for the upper control arm, have more room for the power steering lines. It's a win, 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 win. we'll go back in and weld some support back in this thing and make it look cool while we're doing it.
Make everything way easier.
That's it. Let's get to chopping.
My specialty.
You know, this is a big build and then some. We definitely have our work cut out for us. As a kid working on this build for the Earl Campbell. You know, he's given a lot to this city. I think I'm speaking for all the guys at the shop. We cannot